Mitrom and Bandhuvam, excuse me. Welcome to South Asia Maps, your education channel. This is your presenter, Dr. Reddy. Mitrom, we are continuing our fascinating journey in exploring human ecology predicament. Predicament is dilemma. That means there is excess population of humans on the planet Earth today. 8 billions. Our resources got depleted. How can we live? That is the predicament impasse. In this series today, we are exploring the concept of northern empty lands. There is still a lot of lands on the planet Earth. You see here northern lands. These are empty. That means there are no people over there. But those lands have no carrying capacity for population pressure relief. We cannot go and make settlements there, colonize the lands. So that is the part we will be talking today. Northern empty lands with no CCP, carrying capacity. Carrying capacity means here a donkey or a mule can carry one unit, one bag here. It has a carrying capacity surplus. This cannot carry 3 or 4 units of these bags. It is suffering from carrying capacity deficits. It is CCP surplus here. There is a CCP deficit here. It can carry for some time, but it is essentially a phantom carrying capacity. This is real carrying capacity. I explored that topic in detail in many videos. You can look in there. So we look at this concept. After this concept, you will get a very clear and broad idea. And Mitrom, if you are new to my presentations, I have posted more than 420 videos at my YouTube channel, that is South Asia Maps Reddy. You can go and look at them as per your requirements and interests. This is our series. We are talking about northern lands, have large area, geographical area, but they have very low carrying capacities. Excuse me. That is about the part 112. In 1500 AD, the time of voyages and discoveries of Europeans like Columbus and Amerigo Vespucci and so on, European settlers found very great land, the lands with virgin soils, virgin forests, and very little amount of human population. That means these lands provided rich carrying capacity for European colonies and their descendants. But we have northern lands here. These northern lands today have low carrying capacity. These northern lands suffer from what ecologists call it carrying capacity deficits. That means they cannot support more population permanently. Carrying capacity means ability to support the humans in our perspective permanently. That is very important. The word permanently or forever, the land has to support. That's very critical part of definition of carrying capacity. The low carrying capacity of these lands is due to, take for example, harsh climates. They are near Arctic or Antarctic region, Siberia, Canadian Shield and so on. Excuse me. How can we comprehend these things very easily? And take for example, I have made here things very easy. You can look in geographic areas made easy game series I posted more than nearly 20 or so for more clarity. Here take for example Egypt has a area of 1 million square kilometers and Africa is 30. We call it 30, that is million square kilometers. Africa is 30, Europe is 10. You remember Europe is 10, Africa 30 becomes 40. Asia you can almost make 40. So 40 here 40. Actually 44. So easy to remember 40, 40. New World again 2 Americas is 40. 24 make it 16 here. That is 40. 40, 40, 40. Here Australia, Oceania is around about 8 million square kilometers. I have not shown here Antarctica 15. So that's easy to remember. So you have 40, 40, 40, 120 you get there itself. The remaining 30 you can make up with Australia and Antarctica here. Humans has taken over colonies these new world from flora and fauna and enhanced the carrying capacity for themselves. Now more and more European colonies descendants can be supported in the new world at that time. Now the northern lands, Alaska, Arctic Canada, Siberia, Arctic Nordia and Greenland, they, even though they have the vast areas, they cannot support more people. Here Siberia is 13 units. Remember, all in million square kilometers. Siberia has 13. Entire remaining Soviet Russia west of Urals is around about 4. That becomes 17. That is the surface area of Russia after dismemberment of Soviet Union in 1990s. I also shown Mongolia here 1.5 or so. And here this is the Greenland 2.1 million square kilometers. Alaska here 1.7. That means you round it up 2, you round it up 2 here again, and that means 4 million square kilometers. Canada itself has a 10 million square kilometers. Remember, there are 4 countries in the world, almost 10. That is, Canada is 10, USA is 10, and China is 10. Europe, west of Ural Mountains, is 10. That means, if Canada is 10, almost 80% of Canada is not habitable. This is how you can count it. 8 million square kilometers, 8 units or 9 units or 7 units. So that does not matter anything serious if you add 1 or 2. So I also added even the northern lands, southern lands. In a sense, Australia here, much of the land is empty, and I have not shown here Antarctica. So how do we put these things in proper perspective? You can see here. There is a illusionary equivalent. Still, the lands we covered, there is illusionary equivalent of the large land mass of the New World. That means when the Europeans went there, there is a large land mass like 13 units, 24 units here and 40 units. And still we have almost 25 to 30 units. That means there is an illusionary equivalent of large land mass in the planet Earth today for humans to colonize. That means the USA 10 million square kilometers, among which and South America is 17. USA, if you take of Alaska, that becomes 8, but only prairies and pampas of South America are habitable. In South America, Amazonia occupies most of the land. That means Amazonia, Atacama Desert near the Pacific Ocean, Patagonia, southern part of Australia. If you combine these together, there will be around out of 17 here, almost to 12 or 13. That means out of these 13 units here, 17 units, these 13 units are practically not populatable by human beings. 17 units in the geographical area, that is the south of Panama Canal, and among which only 4 units is habitable, remaining 13, Amazonia, Patagonia, Atacama, are not habitable. Northern lands carrying capacity limits, low carrying capacity due to harsh climate. Much of the Canada is close to Arctic. Arctic winds blow and the land is so cold, and you have to have a centrally heated home, centrally heated car even to live there. So the world has 150 million square kilometers of land area. How do you remember 150? Remember, a healthy person lives 100 years. If you are super healthy, you live 150 years. And there are 360 days or so in a year. That is the water, surface, oceans, and so on. Water area 360, land area 150 becomes 510. That is the total surface area of the only livable island on the universe, island Earth, planet Earth. So the world has 150 units of land area. Russia started expansion from 1518 AD to almost they reached the coast, Vladivostok, in the close to Japan, and by 1778 by occupying the Khanates of Siberia, that is Siberia. Siberia itself has 13 million square kilometers. Mongolia, the landlocked country, has around about 1.5 units. Greenland has 2.1 units, Alaska 1.7 units. USA purchased Alaska around about 1867, that is around about 4 years after the assassination of President Lincoln. A purchase happened during his next successor, Andrew Jackson's time. The foreign minister or secretary of the state, they call it William Seward time, he purchased the vast land of Siberia from Russian Empire, the Alaska, 1 square kilometers, but that does not have offer much of the carrying capacity. Australia, of course, is 7 units, 7 million units. Much of the land is desert, semi-desert, not habitable. So it has only vast land, but has only 25 million people. So these northern lands are empty lands because they lack the carrying capacity deficits for the humans to go and live there. So that is the point we are talking about. When Europeans visited, colonized, entered the New World, 24 units here, 16 units, 1740, they found a great treasure, empty habitable lands with plenty of carrying capacity. Now, even though in the northern hemisphere like Alaska, Arctic Canada, and you can see the Greenland, you can see much of the Nordic nations here, Norway, Sweden, Finland, the Lapland and Siberia here and so on. The northern lands doesn't have the carrying capacity surpluses to support. Instead of northern, you can say southern lands also, empty land. Antarctica, around about 14 million square kilometers, almost double the size of Australia. You can see it's also practically you cannot go and live there. That is the issue. So we are looking at different perspective. Northern lands, this is the Siberia, this is Alaska, the Arctic Canada, this is the Greenland, and so on. This is the same perspective. So in a sense, that is, I talked about the carrying capacity before. That means if the land is like a forest area, it can support, let's say, 10 people, hunters and gatherers. If you take away the competitors, plants and animals, called take over, convert into a farmland. Here we have depicted around about 10 square kilometers, 3.3, 3.3. Forest land, hunters and gatherers, to agricultural land can support, let's say, 300-400 people arbitrarily. If you start industrial farming there, dump the fertilizers, urea, phosphate, pesticides, so on, maybe you can support even more people. Instead of 500, you can support like 2, 3, 4, 5,000 people also. But that is a phantom carrying capacity. That means once you lose access to fossil fuels, which are the base of industrial farming, a base of urea, fertilizers and so on, the carrying capacity reverts back or even decreases to basic. That is the carrying capacity. industrial farm suffers from phantom carrying capacity or carrying capacity deficits. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, and hope this presentation about this northern empty lands with limited carrying capacity or no carrying capacity will put the things in proper socio-political context in the discourses. Thank you very much, and if you like the presentations, please subscribe the channel and bring it to the notice of friends, and also post your suggestions. See you later in other presentation.